So I might just get started because I know we want to get to the artist as quickly as possible. Welcome everyone. My name is Nadi Tekek. I go by she, her, or they, them pronouns. I come to you from the land of the Ohlone out in the Bay Area where I was born and raised. I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, choreographer, collaborator, and also one of the board members of WA and co-chairing Hyphenation with Courtney, and she'll talk a little bit about that program. I am a South Asian woman with really curly, wild hair. And my background has a picture of my family and some green cupboards and all the books that I'm constantly reading for my work. Really excited to have you all here. And you're welcome to introduce yourself if you want to. This is like a closed group Zoom session. It's not like a webinar where we're all speaking at you. Welcome to introduce yourselves and put anything you want in the chat. But really excited to have you all here. Today, what we're doing is a lunchtime art share. And this is an opportunity for us to see sort of the huge umbrella that we call the API community and the art that really comes from all different parts of, Asia and the Pacific Islands. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind is that there isn't just one kind of Asian. I think that's the sort of theme of the year for me. And every time I learn about different art forms and different artists and sort of the communities they represent, it just gives me more hope for the kind of art that we get to see in the future. And we're hoping that artists like the ones we see today get to be in theaters everywhere. I mean, they deserve it, as you'll see soon. And in terms of today's formats, each artist is going to have a chance to speak and share their beautiful art. There will be questions and a discussion with the whole group afterwards. You're welcome to raise your hand and ask questions in the chat whenever you want. And if we're able to sort of have time, even if there's a question for an individual artist, hopefully we can answer it. If not, we'll filter it to the end and hopefully answer it then. But we want to make sure we get to hear from everyone, all these amazing people. So I think that's all from me. I'm going to pass it on to Courtney to give you a short intro, and then we can start.
Thanks, Nadi. As Nadi said, I am Courtney Ozaki. I'm the co-chair of the Hyphenation Committee with Nadi and a WA board member. I go by she, her pronouns, and I currently reside on the ancestral lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, Apache, Comanche, and Shoshone people, which is known today as Colorado. I am a Japanese American woman with a bun on top of my head and large hoop earrings. And I am sitting in my office in front of two pictures, one piece of artwork that's black and white, and a street scene from New York City. I'm a creative and independent producer based in Denver area, and also a professional taiko drummer, Japanese drummer. And I founded the Japanese Arts Network, which is a national resource for artistic collaboration connection for Japanese artists in America. And as Nadi mentioned, this session is being hosted by Hyphenation, which is WA's Asian Pacific Islander group, a collective of API community members and allies with shared interest in advancing API engagement, opportunity, intersectionality, equity, and programming in the performing arts across the West. We've had a really fantastic committee of artists, agents, producers, presenters, and managers who have been spearheading initiatives for Hyphenation over the past half a year since we were formed in June of 21. And we've been able to host several spaces already for API voices to be heard. But we're really excited for this public space that we are introducing to you today. I don't want to take up any more time, so I'm honored to be able to introduce you to my friend and professional colleague, Mina Malik. Mina helped me to envision my organization in its early stages, and we're so pleased to have her with us today to facilitate this meaningful program and conversation. Mina is a recognized vocalist, arts consultant, facilitator, and mediator, and she's known as a mover and shaker, redefining what community engagement and conversations around equity in the arts could look like. So please see the rest of her bio, which I'm going to put in the chat. But Mina, take it away.
Thanks, Courtney, for that lovely intro. It's so great to be here. Thanks everyone for joining us. I am Mina Malik. I use she, her pronouns. And visual description, I am a South and East Asian woman with light skin and dark hair, wavy with highlights that used to be purple. I lost all the color. So it's like brownish. I'm wearing like a tan sweater with bright green and tan earrings. I was gifted from my dear friend. Behind me is my studio with a small cello, mirror, lots of books and things that I did not clean for today. So sorry. But I'm so happy to be here, so excited. We have great artists today that'll be sharing some art, and I'm just going to move on to them because that's the bulk of what we want to hear about. So I'm going to first start by introducing Ova Salpeng. He is an actor, teaching artist, co-artistic director, and producer with Tieta Productions. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Ova.
Woo! Thank you so much, Mina. Mahalo, mahalo. Aloha and sabaidi, everybody. My name is Ova Salpeng. Go by he, him with Tieta Productions, based here in the land of the Tongva people, otherwise known as Tovangar, otherwise known as Los Angeles, Southern California. I am a very handsome, brown, beautiful Southeast Asian man with a beautiful, thick, wonderful beard, and I'm wearing a green, there's nothing micro about Micronesia hoodie that is part of our show, Masters of the Currents. I am just excited to be here, and just wonderful to have this collection of just time to be here. I'm always about wanting to be able to play. I identify as a refugee artist, as a Lao artist, as an artist from Hawaii. I was raised in Hawaii. I was born in Laos, and my family escaped the country of Laos and ended up here in the United States. And you know, as an American artist, which I also am, how do you deal and play with that? And so it's something that I'm very passionate about. And Tieta has been my heart and soul, with my partner, the founding artistic director, Leilani Chan, who is also from Hawaii, and also mixed race as well. She is of Malaysian, Chinese, Jewish, German, Russian by blood, and then by culture Hawaiian, as well as Japanese American. So just to say that identity is so important, right? I mean, and that's part of why this space is important. That's why in the spaces that we are in terms of the field, to be able to elevate and uplift and really recognize that there's all these intersectionalities. So the work that Tieta does, and the work that I have been just fortunate to be able to continue to do, is to do that, to uplift refugee and immigrant communities. And we've worked with the Lao American community nationally. And the work I want to share with you today is called Masters of the Currents. It is a play that was developed, 2 to 3 years ago, and is currently touring now. And it is with the Micronesian community, and specifically the community in Hawaii. But to say that this community, who are from the Pacific, who are of Oceania, are moving here to the US in other parts, like in Arkansas, in Springdale, there are Marshallese communities there. And so that's kind of the work that we do. We're very focused on working with community, but also in working with community as an artist, to be to come in with a sense of respect, a sense of equality, a sense of understanding that we have this Western sometimes or American theater sensibility, but there are these communities that have just amazing stories, and that is valued and that is important. And so that's kind of the kind of work that Tieta and what Leilani and I and Tieta does. So Machiavelli, if you wouldn't mind sharing the video of our kind of impact on what we've been doing with Masters of the Currents, which, and this one is kind of in reference to our inter-island tour in Hawaii, actually. And I know we got some Hilo folks over here on this call. So go ahead.
How will our children know who they are?
This is the first play about the Micronesian American experience to tour the island and then to go national. My name is Leilani Chan, and I am the founding artistic director of Theater Productions. How I've seen students of color respond and community members who are from underserved communities respond to my workshops and the shows that we do is definitely very different from what you might get from a white student or a white theater student or even just your average theater goer, which is usually going to be older and white, is very different because we don't get to see ourselves on stage very often. We don't get to see our experience on stage, and when you never get to see yourself on stage, you never get to see your own story on stage, you feel invisible, you feel like you're isolated and alone.
One thing though, Soso.
Yes?
Don't wear that shower curtains to school.
Palazzo! Shower curtain?
He's talking about your skirt.
No! My grandma made this for me before I left our island!
As someone who's always been involved in advocacy work, it was almost healing to share my stories and experiences in such a creative way and comfortable space.
This work for Master of the Current has been a fulfilling experience, especially because now we are telling our story.
What other play, guys, is talking about this? What other play is talking about your community, about your life, about who you are and what you see and your experience? No other play is doing that right now, and you're getting to be, you're a part of that, and you're in it.
Now we have the opportunity to have a show on stage that actually portrays who we are, our cultures and our traditions. And it has people like, us on this stage, Micronesians.
It's huge. It's really huge. And everywhere we go, every time after the show, our community especially, they come with tears and they come with a renewed sense of hope that nothing is lost and that we need to reconnect.
There is nothing micro about Micronesia. We have big families, we have big minds, and we have big hearts.
I've seen through the work that we've done that there's been change in communities, even if it's just from an individual's point of view, learning to be proud of who they are, whatever their story is. And I've seen people come to our shows and be like, this is reflected in my community, even if it's a story about a Laotian or a story about a Micronesian. I'll have people from different ethnicities and communities come to our show and say, this is the same as what's going on in my community, or this is the same thing that's happened to me.
This work has really made me rejuvenated, and it has brought a different sense of courage, a different sense of hope, and a different sense of we did our job well for the past 10 years fighting for our community. And my most worried was the next generation. So when we decided to focus on the 3 teenagers' story, that was a dream come true because it empowers the next generation to rise up and take ownership of who they are and believe that there is hope for them regardless of where they are. So I am very, very proud of the process that Master of the Current has done.
I'm gonna do the chant and you repeat the last phrase of what I say. So it goes like this. When I go white kumu, you say white kumu. White kumu kamane, 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 kamao, kamao. May musumus kurusidi, kurusidi. Redun wae dumude, edumude. White kumu, white kumu. Very good. So the last phrase I'm gonna say. And in unison, I would like you all to raise your hand together. Okay? So when you do your part, we all raise our hand.
This is a call to everyone to stand together in union for all the issues, all the struggles, all the challenges that we all face. It's time for us to heal and stand together. And this is not just a Micronesian story. This is all immigrants, all Pacific Islanders' story. This is all our stories.
Thank you. Wow. I'm crying just looking at it myself because I'm just like the years of working with the community, being able to the word that comes to mind for me is it's transformative. It is very, very transformative to be able to I'm crying now, to practice your art and then to be able to then have that resonate and then continue that, with a community that really, really needs it. So that's the work that we do. That's the work that we do. And I'm just so thankful to be able to do this work. And it is because of the support of many foundations and organizations. It is, and it's wonderful to be able to share it. And as you saw, we're still touring. I know the pandemic is kind of shifting everyone's, potential of sharing what they need to share. But for me, what nourishes and drives me is doing this thing with people in the room. So it's just very wonderful to be able to share. So today, because we are this hyphen Asian, we want to play, because I don't want to just share with you. I want to play. So let's play. And here's, I'm going to share with you kind of a little bit of the process in which we work with community as we enter and also as we exit. If you can get on the chat for me, find yourself your chat. And here's what I want you to do. We're going to do an exercise, one of the many exercises that I do. This is called a community point. And I want you to answer this question right here. I'm going to type it in there. Okay, America sees me as, and I want you to fill that in for me. And this is a way in which we work, again, with community when we do engagement work. Yes. So go ahead and take a deep breath. Take all the feels that you got from the video, from just hearing me. The question I asked for you is, America sees me as, and I want you to fill that in the chat for me. This is our playtime together. This is your time to contribute, to be part of the collective, to be able to share a little bit of, yourself. And this is one of our wonderful exercises that we do. I call it a community poem, and it's about engaging the participants that you work with. We did a similar exercise with the Micronesian students and youth that we work with in Hawaii. And out of this, one of the stories is that one of them wrote cockroach. And we were like, what is this cockroach thing? What are you talking about? You know, we were thinking cockroaches in Hawaii, and because there are a lot of cockroaches. But they were describing it and saying that they were being called cockroaches. And that hit me because I never, you know, I never considered that. And so through just this simple exercise in which we're doing, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And this is where kind of the equity comes in. So what we do is I would do this exercise as a community poem. You give a prompt. My prompt right now is America Sees Me As. And then we would then share it. And then for today, I will just kind of read out kind of what we have here. America sees me, sees us as a bad Indian girl, as the other, as the weird, as the questionable. America sees me as a terrorist, as an outsider, a model minority, an overly optimistic. America sees me as white and safe. America sees me as the other. America sees me sometimes Jewish, sometimes white, depending upon the situation. America sees me. America sees me as chop suey, soupy, lao dada of colonization. America sees me as fully assimilated. America sees me as an immigrant. America sees me not belonging here, being a freeloader. America sees me as a threat. America sees me. What is she? This small Asian with big voice, sometimes unheard. America sees me as a multitude. I'm probably seeing a lot of different ways. Some even may conflict. America sees me as being opinionated, as being disrespectful, as being spicy, self-assured. Okay, we're going to close it out. Close it out. Because I know we can go on and on and on and on and on. Chai latte, namaste. America sees me as an anomaly. So through this process, as you can see, it is a great way in which we can learn how to see from people's perspective, right? To see from each other's perspective. And it is storytelling. It is beautiful to be able to be empowered, to say something, to be empowered to express that. And I think that's kind of what theater is really good at. And that's what we have been doing. So that's kind of my exercise for today. Before we go, I want to, I think Chizuko wanted me to share the chant. I will do that afterwards. I'll have to look for that information in terms of the chant, but the chant is from specifically the Chuukese community, and it is about a community coming together to launch a vessel, and specifically the Micronesian canoe. So, and that's kind of, again, listening to the community as we create and develop together. And I think that's what we really need right now, more than anything else, a sense of unity, a sense of coming together, more so than division. So I end with Imua. This is my final, we're gonna put our hands together like this. Everyone put your hands together right by the screen. We're gonna say Imua 3 times. Imua in Hawaiian means to go forward. I translated it for me to mean to progress. And you're gonna say it 3 times like a chant. You say Imua, Imua, Imua. The first time when you say it for yourself to move forward, to progress. The second time you say it for this group of people who are coming together here. And the third time you say it for the world, because the world right now needs a lot of progress. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Imua, Imua, Imua. Khop-chai lalai. Khop-chai. Thank you. Mahalo, mahalo. I give it back to Mina.
Thank you, Oba. because there's not all the, you can see it in the chat, but I'm making all the sounds. Thank you, Ova, for sharing all that beautifulness that is you and your work, and Tiara and everyone. I had the lovely, it was incredible. I was able to see Masters of the Currents. That was the first show I saw after the pandemic, well, in the midst of the pandemic, and I cried like most of, like I just cried the whole time. But it was really incredible to see the impact of your work with all the people that stayed on to talk. There were like an hour long talk back, and people just wanted to share how it felt to be represented, to see themselves on stage. They felt heard, they felt seen, they felt a sense of belonging and sense of pride, and it was just really incredible. So thank you so much for all the work that you do. Passing it to, next up is Kenny Endo, who is a taiko performer, composer, and teacher. And I'm just going to pass it on to you, Kenny.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? It's great to be here. It's an honor to be in this company of such amazing artists. Oba, thank you for your presentation, for your energy, for your talent, and best regards to Leilani as well. I started playing taiko about 47 years ago, and before that, I played Western drums. I was a drum set player in the mid 70s. I had to make a choice. I was either going to move to New York and play jazz, or I was going to move to Japan and study taiko. So I ended up choosing taiko. In 1980, I moved there intending to just stay for about a year. Ended up staying 10 years. It's one of those things, as we all know, the more you learn, the less you know, or the less you realize, there's always so much more to learn. So I've been involved in this art form, and it's still fresh to me. I still look forward to practicing, and I'm constantly trying to improve. Early on in my career, when I first started, a very influential person told me, you're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are. He says, if you can keep that balance, you'll survive. So I've always tried to keep that in perspective. Another one of my teachers in Japan, Saburo Mochizuki, told me, "Renshu ga kibishiku, sorekara enso wa tanoshiku," which means practice with discipline, practice with a lot of focus, so you can enjoy the performance, and people can enjoy your performances. And another one of my teachers in Japan, Bokusei Mochizuki, said, when you get on stage, you cannot rely on your own power to perform. You have to tap into the energy and history and legacy and spirit of those who have been on that stage before you. And if you're able to tap into that, then you can achieve a height. You can achieve, a height of your art form greater than you would think. Of course, you have to prepare. You have to be ready. But that's one of the things I found, that there was a lot of wisdom in Japan in a lot of the old ways. I guess the music that I've kind of developed is called East meets West. So I have a strong affinity for improvisation and jazz, and a lot of the traditions around the world that use that, such as Indian music and African music. I've been influenced by all different types of music, and one of the activities I've been involved with is called intercultural collaborations. And there was a woman in LA named Judy Mitoma, who is known for her organization of the LA Festival, as well as a program called Apex, which I was involved with a few times, which brought artists together from all over Asia, from all over the United States, to do what we called intercultural collaboration. So these were theater people, dance people, musicians, writers, filmmakers, and we lived together for 6 weeks, and just had free reign of trying to create. And I met some really amazing, wonderful people who I've still kept in touch with and still work with. But it just made me realize that people are the same all over the world, and that it's the governments that are fighting, and the people are basically the same all over the world. That really, when I performed in Moscow in 1989, that really hit home, because I grew up in the Cold War. We were always told Russia is your enemy. But when I went to Russia and performed there and met the people there, they were such warm people and wonderful people. It's definitely not like the image you get from the media of who the Russian people are. The same thing's happening with China right now. Of course, there's political differences, a lot of economic discord, but if you go to China and meet the people there, there's just so much amazing depth to that culture. So I'm going to share a piece called Ame. Ame means rain in Japanese, and this is a piece that I composed after 9/11. And it was dedicated to the victims of 9/11 and also to the victims of 9/11's revenge. And so the English title is Tears of the Earth. So in June of 2021, we named our concert Ame. And my wife Chizuko, who's here with us, actually produced this concert. And the Hawaii Theater here in Honolulu offered their space to many artists. So normally you would have to pay thousands of dollars to rent that theater, but we were able to just pay the tech people, all the lighting people, all those things, and do this concert. And so this particular piece, I collaborated with Peter Espiritu, who is also an amazing choreographer, dancer based here in Hawaii. He brought 3 of his dancers in, and he always, we've collaborated many times, but he always comes up with something pretty amazing. Also, we have a wonderful vibraphonist, Abe Lagrimas Jr., a woman on erhu, Sun Hui, and a soprano saxophone player named Todd Yukamoto, and then as well as my taiko ensembles. And one of my members, Elizabeth, arranged the melody for vocals as well. So this is a kind of a quiet taiko piece. Most of you think taiko is very exciting and dynamic and very high volume, which it is. That's probably one of the most appealing parts about taiko. But this is more of a reflective piece, and the message was that we were in the middle of this pandemic. I mean, we still are, and the performing arts have been really affected by this. I mean, people all over the world have been affected by this. I mean, there are people still who are dealing with issues with housing and food and clothing. So those kind of things, of course, should have priority. And so the performing arts just kind of went dormant, or I wouldn't say they went dormant, but there was no gigs. So our way of making a living was basically taken away, and it's just slowly coming back. But I think one of the messages we wanted to do with this piece is to talk about what was going on at that time in the pandemic of people being sick, the Asian hate that was going around the country, the racial injustice, and also our disconnect with nature. I think one of the things that we need to do is to respect the wisdom found in nature, and so that's what this piece was about. So if you could play Ame. Thank you. I like to end with, I like to show you this instrument. This is an instrument, it's called a kotsuzumi, and I want to teach you some of the kuchishoga or vocalization that we use when learning this. So most non-Western music relies on the oral tradition to pass on the music from teacher to student. And so every specific instrument has their own type of language that they use. So, for example, on this drum, if I hit on the edge of the drum with my ring finger of my right hand, we call that sound ta. And if I hit with these two fingers in the center of the drum and release the rope as soon as I hit, we call that sound pon. So tapon, tapon. So I'm going to say some very short phrases, and I'd like you to just repeat it. And I can't hear you saying, so I can't tell if you're doing it right, but you could give it a try. Okay, start simple. So as soon as I say it, you play it, or you say it, and I'll be playing it at the same time. Okay, here we go. Top, boom, top, boom, boom. Tapon, tatas, toton, tapopon. Ta 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 po 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 po. Ton to to ton ton ta 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 ta. Ten to ton 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 ton. Thank you very much.
Yay, thank you, Kenny. I think I did pretty well, but you didn't hear me, so you wouldn't know. Thank you so much, Kenny, for sharing that beautiful ame. I'm from Japan, so I was kind of, lifted. And I love that intercultural connection that you speak of, which you can see from the bridging that you do musically, working with dancers through style, instrumentation, mixing that old and new improvisation mixed in it. Like, it's just really beautiful. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I will move to our next artist, Brinda Guha, who is a trained Indian classical Kathak dancer. And I'll just pass it on to you, Brinda.
Thank you so much, Mina. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Brinda Guha. My pronouns are she and hers. I'm calling in from the land of the Lenape people in the island of Mannahatta, meaning hilly island and a place where we gather the wood for the bows. I am non-disabled, caste privileged, cisgendered, queer South Asian with roots in Kolkata, India and Bangladesh. I'm wearing silver jewelry. My hair is pulled back in the middle part. I have dark lipstick, a patterned top with earth tones, and a black and white Palestinian kafaya on my shoulder. I'm trained primarily in Kathak, which is North Indian dance under my guru and mother, Malavika Guha, and whose biggest teaching for me was to consider the importance of individual growth as you dance in a group, in a large group of people, and the power that has. After 35 years, I now run her school, Kala Mandir. I participate in the lineage of contemporary Indian dance, and I'm a choreographer of Kala Mandir Dance Company, which was established in 2010. I'm a co-performer and artist with Souls of Duende, which is a percussive trio based in the rhythms of Kathak, flamenco, and tap. I'm the curator of Wise Fruit NYC, which is a live arts showcase dedicated to the feminine divine and raises money for Planned Parenthood. And lastly, but not least, of course, I am an arts administrator with the dance service organization Dance NYC, based on the values of justice, equity, and inclusion, and I produce their annual symposium. The piece I'm sharing today is an excerpt of kind of a longer piece, but it follows the same theme as what you just heard me describe as my life's work, which is trying to figure out how to make sense of this all, right? How to make sense of all these lessons and all these equations and all these patterns that are our histories, and trying to make sense of it and trying to synthesize it in real time. And so it starts with the basic practice and an understanding of a katak amad. And an amad is a welcoming composition that establishes the speed and the rhythm cycle of a step. And then it's the character is hearing all the sounds and the spaces between the sounds and imagining something maybe funky could live in between the sounds of these words, or bolds, as we say. So this character is trying to make sense of it all. And then it kind of leads her to this exploration of personal prayer and what this could potentially all mean. So here's an excerpt. Please press play.
The only thing my mathematical brain could really understand were the patterns. We have art in order not to die from the truth, right? Hello? 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 Are you there? Hello? It's me, Brenda. It's okay. It's okay. You just forgot who you are for a second. Welcome back. Look, the textbooks lay it all out. The Indian tradition views the body as an integral organism in which vastu, matter, is fused with shakti, energy, through the will of the spirit, or atman. So, in practical terms, the organic material of the body is animated by the intercourse with the cosmos through breath. Okay, so let me get this. All right. The creative will comes into play to control this intercourse through the mind. Okay. So a simple definition of dance based on these assumptions could be physical body plus breath equals movement. Creative will times movement equals dance. Patterns in color theory, patterns in steps and equations, patterns in counting, rhythm, melody, patterns in nature. So much nature that colored my mother's childhood. So many equations that answered questions for my father's livelihood. So many patterns that filled my existence to answer questions I didn't even know I had. And prayer? What's prayer? What is prayer? Repetition, it's mantras, it's chants, it's Sanskrit, it's words, it's God. Rinse and repeat about God and repeat and about God and repeat until you're focused. Focus. Focus. Personal prayer is our individual way to practice our focus, patterns, and prayer. Classical ideas gave birth to this contemporary life, a life of split citizenship, split loyalty, split culture, split family, English or Bengali, white or brown, earth or sky, bells or whistles, chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin, black or white. Why do I have to choose? It's this life of equations and rhythm and melody and patterns and prayer, our most personal prayers.
Thank you so much for watching a little bit of that work of us trying to figure out what it is that we're doing when we listen to this classical music and sound and understand our trying to understand our lineage and trying to understand our privilege and trying to understand our access to this information and how do we kind of deal with all of that, right? So thank you for watching. I wanted to do a short exercise. I know we're kind of out of time, so I'm just going to go very quickly. For this interactive exercise, just warm up your hands a little bit. Just kind of roll out your wrists and separate your fingers and maybe rub your hands together just a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So on the screen, you just have some basic mudras, which are hand gestures in classical Indian dance. I'm not going to get into the thick of it. It's too long to explain. They all mean something. It's all symbolic. It's all very specific, but today we're just going to treat this as a movement exercise. So this is just a movement exercise. So try these different hand gestures as you see pataka, which is our fingers together, curving our thumb. We have 3 pataka. You take your ring finger down 90 degrees. Yeah, I mean, that one's tough, actually. You need your brain for that one. And then you have kataka mukam. So that you have 2 fingers and your thumb together and the other 2 fingers are spread out. Try to put energy in between each of your fingers and really feel what that feels like to use your whole hand. Then you have sarpisha, so you have, kind of like a snake head, that's what that means here. So you want to think about like the curve in the fingers and the top. And then you can open your hands up to Alapadma, which is we would use this for lotus, or we would use this for something big. So this is kind of separating all of our fingers out and feeling that tension in our palms, right? So you kind of see different ways, try it with your other hand too, see different ways that you can use your hand and make these shapes. We're not getting into the meaning of it today and the meat of it today, but we are looking at it as a movement exercise, okay? So shelf that, next slide, please. Great. So now consider what it would be like. These are just ideas. You don't have to follow this. Consider what it would be like to use both your hands and try out those different mudras using both of those hands. Think of different shapes you can make. 2, 3 patakas facing each other, maybe 2 patakas away from each other, 2 of the snake heads away from each other. That's a cool shape here. You can think about holding your hands as a fist, taking 2 patakas and then curving your hands around and holding it like a strong fist. You could think about moving it around in the space. Yeah. Taking 2 kataka mukams and playing with different directions, especially with the camera. There's lots of dimensions between your body and the camera. So you can also play with that and think of those ideas. Yeah, Nadi, I see you. That's awesome. Cool. All right, so let's take it to the next slide. Just some ideas, right? And now you want to think about your arms. Exactly. No, go back one. There you go. You want to think about your arms. Okay. So think about all the different shapes that your arms could make. You can, bend from your elbow. You can think about your shoulders. You can think about like the mudra away from your body. You can think about being close to the camera. You can think about being far away, right? There's a lot we can do while we sit on Zoom, right? So you want to think about all the different places that your arms and your body, upper body could go. You could think of one up, one down, and then grab the mudra from there. You can think of square shapes. You can think of round shapes. Right? Okay, let's go to the next slide. This is the fastest collaboration I've ever done in my life. Okay, and then we have upper body movement. So now you want to think about, remember, we forget that we have a head, right? So you can roll your head around. You could think about your head kind of hanging back, hanging forward. We have different axes that we can use with the head. You can look side to side, you can bend side to side, forward. You can think about angles. You can think about forward and away, close and far, downstage and upstage. And now putting all this information together, okay? We're synthesizing extra fast, super speedy, okay? So thinking about our mudras, our double mudras, our hand gestures, our arm placements, and thinking about our upper body and our head, I need 3 volunteers to do a little movement exercise with me on screen. So who would like to join me? And I'll be one of them, and I need 3 others. And I will guide you through this exercise, thinking about all those things we just learned in 5 seconds. Who wants to do it? Oh, okay, we have Nadi. Nadi, join us. Who else? I would love to see. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. Don't be scared. This is just an exercise. I'm not going to force anyone. So
I think G Markin was raising his hand.
Yes,
Sarah,
great.
Sarah,
and also Annie. I see Annie too. Yeah.
I see
There
Sarah
you go.
too.
Oh, great. Get them all on. It's fine. Add them on. Yep, Sarah. And we had one more, G, I think. Okay. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start. On my screen, I have Nadi second. Then I have Annie third. Then I have Sarah fourth. And I have G fifth. Again, that's me, Nadi, Annie, Sarah, and G. I'm going to silently unmute, do a movement exercise, and I'm going to pass it to you, Nadi, you're going to do a movement exercise. You're going to pass it to Annie. Annie, you're going to do a movement exercise, pass it to Sarah. Sarah, you're going to do a movement exercise and pass it to G. And then G, I would love for you to pass it back to me and I will close us out. Okay. And so we have to use our gestures, our upper body, no talking, and we have to be clear that we're passing the movement on. So you want to think about how you want to do that. Okay. I'll begin. Beautiful work, everybody. Thank you so much for participating. The operator, you can unspotlight us, but thank you so much, everybody, for participating. And thank you for being here today.
Oh my gosh, Brenda, thank you so much for sharing that work and also that activity at the end. I feel, yeah, for some reason I was teary too. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's like a silence was like actually really powerful because the movement really sent the message through, and it was really incredible. And your work too, it was incredible to see your multiple identities expressed through the different languages of expression that you use, through your dance and through, you know, words, through expression, so many things. So thank you so much for sharing. Just an open facilitation moment. WA staff, I know we are past time. Do we have a time for one question for every artist that participated today? Okay, great. Thank you. I see the affirmation. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here for the lunchtime. I know time is really precious for all of us, and we were really grateful that you're here. I do want to ask one question with the remaining time. We did prepare some, and I think one is really appropriate, you know, given this time that we're in, which is still very difficult. And it's been a while now that we've been in this multiple pandemic situation. And I'm already uplifted from seeing all this beautiful work that you all are doing throughout this time. But the question I have for you is, how are you thriving and adapting in this particular environment, specifically as API artists? So kind of combining that, you know, your personal identity that you bring, which was expressed through your work, all of you. But you know, how does that intersect with how you're thriving and adapting in this environment? I combined many questions. So whoever wants to start will be great.
Ova, go for it.
Okay, the first word for me was, I'm just emboldened by this process of my story is, here's the thing. I felt that this pandemic and what it has done, and kind of Kenny had mentioned it about how it really, to me as an artist, it was an attack on my life. Because this is what we do. We gather people, we come together. You need an audience, you need this energy and this people. And I spiraled into a really deep, dark place where I questioned my purpose in life. Not to the point where I wanted suicidal, but I questioned just like, what the heck am I doing then? You know, I've been doing this life. I mean, I've been doing this work all through since I was in middle school. And then what happened was that in reaching out for help, in healing for myself, I realized my purpose is this, doing this. I mean, as much of a struggle as it is to be able to and thank you, Brenda, for this wonderful exercise of energy, because that's something that we miss, right? Because if we're not in the same space together, it's like, well, how do we feel that energy? Because this is what we're all about. And so for me, the thing that really thrives is just the connections that I've made and I continue to make with fellow artists, with community, with people like, Senta, who was in the video. She's just amazing, our cultural navigator. And for her to come from the community and then also to now be a performer. And then so there's just this exchange. And so for me, that's what feeds me. That's what nourishes me. And so that's kind of, for me, what has been, we've been doing in terms of the Tira and in terms of our process. And in a way of like really reflecting, and then kind of in that reflection, really looking at the connections that we all have. Like, it's like, I'm looking at the screen and I see so many beautiful connections. I see Auntie Jackie. Auntie Jackie is one of my mentors. Pualani Johnson there, University of Hawaii Hilo, and Karen over there, in Maui. So just to say that, and Kenny, we worked together before in a project. So that's what keeps me going. That's what, for me, has been thriving. So that's my little 2 cents. I'll pass that on to Kenny or Brenda or whoever else. And Lee, Lee Jabalki over at University of Hawaii Hilo. Woohoo! Chee-hoo!
Kenny, go for it. Let's stick to the order of our presentation.
Okay, for myself, well, our school, we lost our practice space. So we've have all the online classes, even now it's going on 2 years. And I think people are getting tired of online classes. And then on the other hand, a lot of people are afraid to come back for in-person classes. So we're really having to be creative about keeping this art form going. Our performances are also very few. But what I've done myself, we built this little studio I'm in is a tiny room in our house. And I put blankets on the walls and just tried to soundproof it. And this is where we were doing our Zoom lessons as well as our performances. And what I've gotten back into is practicing. I practice a couple hours a day, and it's really reignited this passion I have for taiko, because a lot of times when people get to a certain point, they feel like, okay, well, I can just teach now, and I'm okay with what I have. But every time I practice, I realize, I need to work on this, or I need to work on that. And it's really, I really appreciated this time in that I've been able to really hone my craft. And now whether that's going to translate into making a living or not, that remains to be seen. But just the fact that all of us came together today and to see all the wonderful work and the support we have, it's very inspiring. So I want to thank the WA crew, as well as all of you who watch this, and the other artists for being here together with us. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Kenny and Ova. I'm just very grateful to be here. I think we have been looking for a reason to gather, and that's what we do. That as artists, is we in the spirit of the work that we do, it is about gathering because it's about connection. And when you take away the physical variable that you like literally cannot gather, there is an emptiness, there is a grief that happens. I've grieved a lot in these 2 years because it felt like endless loss of just sharing energy with people, because so much of what we do is visceral. So it's really hard to be powered by something that's you're alone in a room, right? So it's about imagining. And so that portal kind of opened in the grief, which was, oh, I have to imagine I'm with my dancers. I have to imagine I'm with community. And I could flip it on its head and say, oh, look at the positive, but I actually think the sorrow and the grief are happening at the same time as the positive gifts. They're not really happening instead of. It's kind of happening. We're learning how to deal with it. We're learning how to be okay. And I think that that's important, but I think it's also sad. We've lost a lot of life. I've lost people to COVID. So it's been a hard time to navigate and to create with joy. If I'm going to be honest, but it's also been really, really cool to take a moment to see what is working and what is absolutely not working in our industry, in our process, in our field, and be brave and courageous to do away with the systems that are no longer working and to kind of create a new system moving forward. And so in that sense, I feel very energetic about the future, and I feel very energetic about where we could go from here. And as an AAPI, proud AAPI member, and as a South Asian, I can tell you that like our ancestral knowledge is going to power us through the next couple of years and figuring out what we do next. So I hope you feel some of that with me, and we can kind of create a healthier future for our industry moving forward. But it's because of folks like you that we get to continue to share our work. So very grateful.
Thank you. I just wanted to add also, I mean, to say that this is just a start, right? I mean, Kenny and Brenda and myself, I mean, I know Kenny, but I don't know Brenda, but it's just wonderful to be able to have this network of WA and to be able to have this affinity space and to really elevate, like, even the questions of these systems. I mean, I'm elevating Pacific Islander stories. I myself am not Pacific Islander. I love what Kenny is doing with this intercultural, like, and I don't know if that's because we're from Hawaii and because there's that connection with Asia and the Pacific, but just to say that this monolithic, API, I mean, those are in question right now. Because it's just like, what is the commonality? What is the thing that brings us together? And is it intersectionality? Is it not? And so those are just some of the ways, and such wonderful different forms as well today that we got to share. So I just wanted to say that that's something that's really important as we continue and moving forward with hyphen Asian plus. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ova, Kenny, and Brenda. I do want to echo what Brenda said of the realness of how we haven't had time to rest and that we haven't had time to grieve truly in the way that we should be doing collectively. And I also uplift the resiliency and the flexibility and the adaptation and the activation of your imaginations at this time. And so grateful that you shared this with us today. And I know we can't gather in person, but this particular gathering we had with this 27 people on Zoom today could not happen any other place. This is our special moment that we just had. And so we are so grateful, 32 people who were here who had to leave because we ended late. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time. Please support these artists. Please support their work through this time. And yeah, please keep in touch, and I will pass it to Nadi and Courtney. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mina. Nadi, I don't know if you still have Babe with you, but yeah, I just echo what everybody's saying. Thank you so much to these beautiful artists who have shared pieces of themselves with us today. And it really was inspiring and so nice to be able to be engaged with each other. Thank you, Mina, for your incredible facilitation and insight. And thank you to Wa, Lucy, Machiavelli, and Tim for allowing us to hold this space, and to all of our committee members too. We're really grateful that we're able to do programs like these. And I'll say it again, this survey allows us to be back in touch with you about other events. So yeah, please keep in touch with us. And I see Brenda has put her website there. So please stay in touch with all the artists and let people know about their work as well, because they're all obviously doing really meaningful and powerful work. Nadi, do you have anything else? I know you have Babe with you. She's okay.
He says bye.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for spending extra time with us today, and we will see you again very soon.